Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on? It's a great day today. You know why? Because XRP is something that everybody really, really wants. And the other thing is that the SEC keeps losing, Ripple keeps winning. And actually, there's a lot of amazing developments with Ripple that we're going to get into. Some of it has to do with XRP, some has to do with the XRPL. But what is key here and central to all of it is that today's show is dedicated to XRP.
XRP, let's do this.
XRP.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Wait a minute, Jeff. Something misfired there. Hang on a second. I was worried.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Seemed like it Welcome, Jeff. Well, welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you guys are coming in from. As always, if you want more content like XRP, Ripple news, updates, views, opinions, you come here for it with Jeff and I, and then we will obviously give that to you. But you have to subscribe. So subscribe if you haven't already. Click that notification bell. That way you get notified anytime we go live. We go live 3 times a week. Sunday night at 8 p.m., Wednesday night at 8 p.m., and then Saturday morning at 8 p.m. And that's obviously
8 a.m.
8 a.m. I'm sorry,
Very
8 a.m.
8 p.m. in the morning.
I was on that roll with the PMs. Yeah, 8 a.m., which it is right now, Miami time. So you have to figure it out. You just need Miami, put in New York, and then you'll get it right if you're wondering, what time is that over here? Because it's next day in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia over there. It's the next day, certainly, or at least later in the day.
And today, XRP's biggest secret.
The biggest secret, Jeff. Ooh, the biggest secret. That's why I did be careful. Be quiet. Everyone's cool. Everyone drop where you're coming in from today. Drop the city, drop the country. We read all comments. If you're watching this on the replay, drop it in the comments. You will notice that we respond, or we will acknowledge that we did indeed see that. And I thought it'd be appropriate, Jeff, to start off something what you teased in the open there, but I think it'd probably be a good idea to start off with this, because this is kind of cool. We talked about this a little bit last week. We had 2 back-to-back interviews, but last week we talked about this last Saturday, and this is the first version of Colombia's National Land Registry was actually deployed in the XRPL. We talked about it was going to be XRPL. It's beautiful, right?
How sweet is that? I mean, this is real-time use case from a real-time country.
And Jeff, here's the funny thing about this is a lot of people don't really realize, like, especially with this SEC v Ripple case, we don't even know. Like there was a point when Ripple said we're not even aware of all the use cases. We don't know of all of them. Here's one right here that nobody probably considered that this would be a use case on how they would leverage the XRPL, which is completely open source. And it's completely decentralized. And
what do you think Gary has to say about this? I mean, here you have the foundation of XRP. So you have the XRPL being put into real world use, and once you get that register going, I mean, through the XRPL, inevitably, I see that there's a use for XRP, the asset that's somewhere going to be derived from the deployment.
Yeah, exactly. And, the funny part about it is, when I think about the SEC v Ripple case, something that always comes to mind, and, John Deaton's brought this up a lot. You and I have workshopped this a ton here on the chain, but they never say that XRP, they never accuse Garlinghouse or Ripple or anybody of fraud. There's no fraud. That allegation's not thrown around at all in the Ripple and the original complaint, but they also allege that there's a period of time where XRP was a security, but then in the hearings it came out that all XRP is a security. Jeff, everything on the secondary market security, and of course Chairman Gensler, he always forgets about the 4 prongs of how he tests. He only talks about the one we rely on others for profit. That's the one he always talks about. And the funny part about it is, if you are out there and you own XRP, when you bought XRP, were you relying on Ripple? No. I mean, most people don't even know what the hell Ripple was. I mean, how do they know that, Jeff? I mean, so jumping back into this here, look at this. So we got Peersyst technology. They're excited to share that they just put into production the first version of the National Land Registry together with Agencia Tierras, the support of Ripple, to register the first adjudication resolution in Colombia on where the XRPL, search its number. But here it is right here, Jeff. Oficial, right there. Certificado de resolución de adjudicación. John, there. I said that with a French accent. John.
You did, so.
So there it is right there. So there it is, like the subdirection there, 310. There's the official number. It's got the official QR code on it, and there it is right there. It's official. How cool is that, man?
It's real. It's happening right now.
It's real time, Jeff.
Legit.
I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
Legit.
I want to get your thoughts on this one right here. Let's see. Where are people coming in from? Anybody in here? Could you please explain?
We've got Australia. We've got UK. We've got Virginia. We've got Savannah, Georgia. We got all over.
Look at this.
We got Virginia.
Ozcan, is like a mind reader. That's our very next story. And look at that next comment is, could you please explain why Ripple is buying XRP in the secondary market despite they have billions of XRP in the escrow? It's a really good question. And it's so timely. It's so great. Why we always say we have the best and the brightest in the comments, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they're right on. It's right. They're always right online. Someone will certainly ask something, and we have it. We have it as an upcoming story. But look at this. We have Virginia in here this morning. Look at that. Virginia's in the house.
Virginia.
Look at this right here. That's nice. Gupper said, "You, Chip and Jeff rule." I love that. You rule, dude. That's
got
very
Mike
cool.
Tuning in from the UK, and Guppers happens to be tuning in from that one place called Long Island.
Long Island, yeah. I haven't been to Long Island in a long time, but
man, yeah, I love it there. It's actually really nice. They got a nice beach.
Beautiful.
It's a really cool place. Nice
they call
little
it
town.
LI.
Yeah, but
like Milton, the UK. I don't know where in the UK, but he's coming in someplace from the UK. We've actually zeroed in on the region, which is very cool. We also have Bullish
Kansas.
Barber T in from Kansas.
Nice.
Look at this right here.
Oh,
this is something to celebrate right here. XRP 23 found out yesterday I'm going to be a dad. Congratulations. One of the greatest honors you can have in your life. And your whole purpose changes. And it's you're about to embark on a really cool mission, man. And Jeff and I, big shout out to you and congratulations, man.
There's our one and only Twitch viewer. Everything coming in from Canada. Twitch over in Canada. Twitch
Sweet.
is still a thing.
We broadcast the Twitch. It's kind of, I think we sometimes get buried in there, but I actually like the user experience. I'm careful, Jeff. It has a cool user experience. I watch actually a lot of stuff on Twitch. Most of which is not gaming, but I do actually watch a couple gamers on Twitch as well, believe it or not.
Yeah. We got Leo from Brazil. Man, everybody's showing up. That's awesome.
We got Indiana. Brian's from Indiana. We got there's Wiltshire. There you go. I'm not sure where Wiltshire is. You have to give us some better clarification.
Everything. Careful.
Cuidado, cuidado, Jeff. To use Espanol, cuidado. It's like, so I want to jump on this next story here. This is really cool.
So what's up with the buyback, Chip? What is up with the buyback?
Yeah, so why Ripple is buying back millions of XRP off the secondary market. But look at the second part of this is as on-demand liquidity gains global momentum. And here we go.
We got Oscar from Norway, Joe Parsons from Essex.
What a great country.
Nice. Man, all over.
Tampa over here. That's north of us, northwest of us over there.
We even got Pasadena.
When are we going to Burns, gents? That's a good question, Jared. Jared's bringing it up over there. That's a very good question.
Very soon.
Pasadena in the house. That was a Pasadena, gosh, I want to say about 8 years ago for they got a great convention center there. I believe it's in Pasadena. If I'm thinking of the right place. Okay, so let's jump into this a little bit here. So Ripple disclosed in the recently published Q2 report that we'll also touch upon, but the blockchain company noted the purpose of the XRP buyback initiative is to sell the acquired crypto asset to on-demand liquidity business. And according to Ripple, the adoption of its ODL solution has grown tremendously in the previous quarter. And ODL volume surged 9 times year over year. The report noted that's pretty strong, Jeff. Anybody, if you're in crypto, you'd be happy with a 3 to 4x, but a 9x?
9x in the ODL volume. Now remember MoneyGram, they utilized ODL for FX. And so, and they saw, tremendous results from that. But then the lawsuit started, and then all of a sudden MoneyGram backed out, and now MoneyGram's working with XLM. But to see that kind of growth in ODL, and we know that ODL, the on-demand liquidity, is the game changer that Ripple is offering. And we don't see a lot of that on-demand liquidity solutions in mainstream right now. So this is, I think this is really the foundation. This is the key to their success, their future success.
You know what? I'm
Scotty
just
from
loving everybody coming in
California.
from California because it's early there. Let's face it, it's 5 a.m. So the
Oh, it's
early
bright and early
risers.
over there. That's a good point.
We salute
Yeah.
you in Cali. Love to see you guys on here. Of
Everybody,
course,
you got Costa Rica.
Of course, we have Kelly Slade. You know, she's an OG here on the channel, and you know, she's sometimes she's actually in the States, but Costa Rica, what a beautiful country! I'm sure we actually know a bunch of people down in Costa Rica. Can't wait for Moon, so we can just go around and travel. We'll have a road show, the OTC road show, where we go out and meet a bunch of
6:16 a.m.
have meetups
in Costa Rica. Yeah, we
Look
should
at
do a
that.
road show. That'd be awesome.
The
When
OTC
Moon.
road show, right?
Do the
When
OTC
Moon.
road show, and we'll go to all the countries that people broadcast from or tune in from. That'd be awesome. All right,
Yeah.
so
Here it says
ODL customers. Yeah,
it says an ODL customers have been utilizing the solution beyond domestic remittance and individual payments, the bulk payments and treasury flows. You talked about the MoneyGram. Funny enough, MoneyGram is getting in on this whole. We got to seal stuff from the SEC case, so they jumped into that whole thing along with that third party, which we'll jump into later. Ripple has been a buyer of XRP in the secondary market and expects to continue to undertake purchases in future market prices as ODL continues to gain global momentum. Now, Jeff, the question is, why is Ripple buying on the secondary market when they have that giant escrow? And I think the easy answer there is that the escrow is not controlled necessarily by Ripple. It's controlled by a billion gets released every month. And then it gets sold onto the, if it gets sold, whatever is sold, or it ends up in the, so it's not like a personal piggy bank where they can just necessarily utilize it, at least in that fashion. So, I mean, I don't know, any other thoughts am I missing something here? Is that is there something else going on there?
I think there might be there's another purpose behind it. But the ODL, obviously that part of the use case is critical. Maybe they're limited, again, they could potentially be limited to, the 1 billion. Maybe they need more than that. I don't know. Here's the other question that I have is that, and this is just to have a contrary, point on this, is that you can divide XRP into the millionth decimal point, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Drops,
million drops per XRP. So do you need, so here's the big question then is, do you need all that XRP, or can you utilize fractions of XRP within the ODL, or do you need a whole XRP? That's the part that, is, kind of, an open item. And I think that this is still the same case when we think about any of the assets, because they're all divisible. So if you think even Bitcoin, we know that the well is drying up on the mining of Bitcoin, and then say, well, it's infinitely limited to whatever's left. However, it's also divisible, per Bitcoin. You can have fractions of the Bitcoin.
Yeah, they call them Satoshis,
so
sats.
Right. So you have the sats, and so each asset has the decimal. So you could then have a significant. I mean, there's a lot of Bitcoins out there if you think about it from a sat, or there's a lot of sats out there. And I guess it would be the same thing with XRP. There's a lot of, there's a lot of drops out there. So how do you then, how does that factor into it? That's the big unknown variable. Maybe somebody out there knows. Maybe someone has maybe there's a technical reason.
Yeah, well, Jim D says, the drying up XRP supply equals price increase,
Going
basically.
up.
And right, when, scarcity always equals some kind of an increase. And how do we know this? Because if you go to your local supermarket, you'll find that out. But Jeff, here's something too that kind of speaks a little bit to that, what you were just talking about, the drops. Ripple actually talked about this in their in their market update and its Q2 report. And we had Aaron from Fluff World on, and they do get to it. I'm trying to think of where they get to it. They talk about it somewhere. Did I not? Is it not in here? Where is it? Good golly, Miss Molly. But anyway, I'll have to see if I can find it, because I thought it was in this one, but let me see if it's in. My goodness. Here it is, right here. Got it. It was in here somewhere. I just was able to skip over it, but here it is, right here. So Ripple's expanded scope. So one of the more interesting aspects of the report is the reveal that Ripple teamed up with Fluff World, which we had Aaron on here talking about that on 2 shows ago. You can go to onthechain.io and you can watch that interview. It's really a fantastic interview, especially to see his point of view being, a New Zealander and also a very, very successful guy in the space overall. Fluff World's just part of the iceberg. But it says one of the most interesting aspects is the reveal that Ripple teamed up with Fluff World to develop a new blockchain. Well, it's not necessarily a new blockchain, but the root network here. Now the network will also be integrated with the XRPL, and we'll use, there it is right there, Jeff, XRP for gas fees. There it is, XRP for gas fees. This kind of utility grows will boost XRP's demand and price action, what Jim D was just talking about. So, and somebody else in the chat put this out too. It's like, with all of that's going on with XRP, what's going on with Ripple, what's going on with use cases, and we're still attached our wagon to that Bitcoin rise up and down. I mean, yes, but we're still early. People think that because you've been in crypto for 3 years or 5 years or 2 months, that everybody is, and it's still such a small percentage, Jeff. I mean, there's not a lot. It's not like we just, when you're really into something, you buy a new truck and you go, you never saw that truck on the road, but then you start seeing it everywhere. It's like, oh, everyone drives this truck, and it's not necessarily true. You buy a new car and you start seeing your car in different colors driving around the road. You just never noticed it before. Same with crypto. You're so steeped in it. You're so knowledgeable on what's going on. You just assume it's happening everywhere.
Bom dia from Brazil.
Bom dia. Bom dia. That's the only thing I know in
so Mike Portuguese. Is saying escrow release used to support the business. If not used, returns to escrow, as I understand it. And that's exactly what happens. So the question is, they use it in development, they use it for partners. But why aren't they using it then to move it into the ODL? It's a good open question that we have to figure out. That we should ask somebody, so there's really a couple, there's a number of open items, but the basis, I think you brought up a really good point, and they're in Ripple's partnership with Fluff World, seeing what they're doing with the network, and then also utilizing XRP as gas fees, throughout their network. There's so much that's going to be happening here. We're just kind of scratching the surface. We had a great interview on Wednesday, and we really getting into the overall use cases of where NFTs are going and where the entire space has the potential of going. And we're just seeing the beginning. We're still early, to everything that's unfolding. And if we think back, Chip, to just 11 short years ago, 12 short years ago, when it was just Bitcoin, and from Bitcoin, and now we're seeing companies that are worth billions, and we have billions of dollars in transactions in this space. It's really impressive, so think, if we fast forward, and that was one of the questions that we talked about on Wednesday, is where is this space going to be? We know where we've come in 10 years. Where are we going to be in 10 years? And so if we think about what's the terminology for exponential growth in the computer world? There's a specific term that relates to the exponential growth of how fast technology develops and doubles. What there's a certain term.
Yeah, it's
somebody out there must know it. But and so if we see that with computer technology, how fast
Moore's law.
That's it. Yeah. So imagine where we're going to be going with the crypto space on how fast it's progressing at this point, because we're seeing so much development. Think back just a couple of years ago. I know, I started getting in 2017. I know I first really was came into contact with Bitcoin back in 2014. So it took me a couple years to really, get into it, but it's amazing. It really is amazing that it was, you see that slow progression, and now things are happening just so quickly, and things are changing at such a rapid rate as they're adding new ideas, new technologies, and it's just it's really great.
Yeah, it really is great. It's astounding. It's awesome. It's great, and so some other Ripple news too. This one here from our buddy WrathofKahneman. But Mecuryo is a B2B business that uses crypto for payments. They recently integrated 5 tokens on the platform, XRP, crypto-powered toolbox for payments. So this is the tweet they put out. And it says Mecuryo has integrated XRP. Ripple has made waves in the cross-border
XRP
payment.
rocks.
XRP rocks. Hey, what's up, Rocks? Yeah, Rocks and I
That is
talk
brilliant.
often. He's from my hometown up in New York, so that's what we always have, like,
You know
little
what I
conversations.
realized? You know what I realized I forgot this morning?
Your coffee,
I don't
dude.
know, my coffee.
Dude, look at this right here. You see that big
Zero
bad
coffee.
boy?
I got a bottle of
And
water. That's about
it's
it.
almost empty right there. Of course, I have my trusty water as well. So there it is right there. So I'm always like, water's on the right, coffee's on the left. Okay. So you have and then so they put a thing, heart. Instead of using bullet points, they use hearts, which I like. Ripple has made waves in the cross-border payments industry, powered by what else? XRP. Protocol is used by major banks to facilitate rapid, secure, and cheap transacting. And then Ripple initially began as Ripple Pay in 2004, 5 years before Bitcoin's launch. Yeah, that's true. But Ripple Pay, yeah, it's true. It did have its
It was a
roots.
little bit different.
Yeah, but it wasn't exactly the same. But it's cool when you say it like that. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
Ripple Pay
Yeah.
5 years before Bitcoin's launch. Yeah, okay. But not necessarily, not 100% accurate. In other words, what it was designed to do versus what it ended up being was a little bit differently. But it was envisioned as a payment sort of I thought there was a thread here. Maybe not.
No threads.
Oh, there's right there. Yeah. Okay. This was the entire, all of everything they launched on here. That was just one part of it. Also, they integrated Litecoin, Phantom as well, FTM.
Oh yeah.
Doge. How about that, dude? Doge. And then what else did they? Yeah,
The original meme coin.
There it is, right there. They're.
So what exactly do they do?
They do payments. They're a B2B payment company.
Really interesting.
Yeah. So they help businesses facilitate payments, and now they've integrated these 5 tokens into the network. So 5 new protocols to their product. So whatever their custom solution product is, they now have that included. And XRP is obviously one of them, which is actually very cool. And then we have Ripple was actually they were number 3 in the philanthropy for, as far as I think it was all of California, or it might have just been San Francisco. But they built a playground with Stephen Curry and Aisha Curry, and these two. Of course, Stephen Curry is on Golden State, the NBA team, which happens to be David Schwartz's favorite team. He talks often about him on Twitter, and they teamed up with Eat, Learn, and Play team, and they had a meaningful experience working with the Unity Council, Kaboom, to build this new safe place for 100+ Oakland kids in Oakland, California, which is right across the bridge from San Francisco, and investing in communities with Stephen and Aisha Curry, Learn, Eat, Play, and they're the Ripplers right there, along with Unity. There they are. Yay! There's a photo of them all throwing their hands up in the air and being excited. They also have the Ripple gear on right there. This summer, they partnered and said, so it was founded in 2019 by Stephen and Aisha Curry, focuses on 3 key pillars. And I'm pretty sure, Jeff, that one of those pillars is not enforcement. Just guessing. That's the pillar. That's Gary Gensler's realm right there.
We love the pillar of enforcement. It's one of the best pillars.
We often say it takes a village when it comes to improving the lives of children. So it's kind of cool. They brought over 260 volunteers there to collaborate between the Unity Council. And I want to show you this next picture here. Here they are right here. And you can see they're standing in front of a sign at this new playground. And they've got some people from Kaboom, Ripple, Eat, Learn, and Play, and the Unity Council. And there's a cool sign, "Welcome to your play space." So very, very cool. Bienvenidos a su área de juegos. So there you go. Welcome to your play space right there. And that's kind of cool. Ripple's doing a lot in the community. It's always kind of cool when a company gives back, especially in their community. And Ripple
Getting involved.
has been there from the beginning. Of course, Ripple. This is a kind of interesting one, Jeff. We'll have to keep a close eye on this, but this one right here is Ripple. Ripple it in from Ripple in New Zealand. This is a very incredible account right here to follow. If you don't, it's in Ripple. Ripple it in NZ. Curious how the voting process works for amendments on the XRP? Join myself and Nick Bergalis at the next XRP community call. That's going to be on Wednesday, August 3rd at 10:30 p.m. Pacific for a dedicated discussion around the rule validators. So that should be a pretty cool call right there. If you guys want to listen in on that. And as always, Jeff, we put out an email after every show, and we have all these tweets in there. So sign up, go there. It's free to sign up. Go to onthechain.io, and you guys can sign up. You get that free. That way, you're like, hey, they talked about something. Where's that news story? Boom, you can go through it and click on it. Gets emailed.
Exactly. So hey, let's segue over to the SEC, because the SEC is kind of interesting. All right. And so
mate, it is interesting, yeah.
The SEC is interesting because it's just nonstop, losing for them, just a bunch of losers. But here you have SEC loses bid to bar XRP holders from participating in regulators' lawsuit against Ripple. It just seems like they keep getting smacked in the face, so many times. Yeah, at what point, how many times do you get smacked in the face before you finally say, hey, you know what? I've had enough. Maybe it's me, it's not you. I mean, at what point do they say that? And it's all, completely their fault. They keep stepping in it. They keep overreaching. They've singled out, using their pillars of enforcement. They launched this lawsuit, and then they attack the XRP holders. They've said very derogatory things to people that are in the XRP space. They came unprepared for their lawsuit against Ripple. It just goes on and on and on. But here, U.S. District Judge Annalisa Torres is showing XRP holders, is allowing XRP holders to remain a part of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's ongoing legal battle with Ripple. And I think this is an important part here. They'll allow them to retain their status, which is a really big part of what, John Deaton, obviously this whole thing, revolves around the lawsuit that John Deaton is spearheading. Or the involvement request in the lawsuit that Deaton has been spearheading. And so I think this is a really, really big move, Chip. What are your thoughts? SEC big winner or big loser?
Oh, Jeff, to your point there, it's funny when you think about private versus like government. The government has access to a lot of resources when it comes to, let's say, an endless supply. I want to say an endless supply. But they're not worried like a little company would be worried about the legal fees. We heard from Garlinghouse that when it's all said and done, they're going to spend over $100 million, right?
Yep.
What I think about is that Ripple has a universe of the best legal available. The SEC has the best legal available of who is working for government for hire, which is a very minute sort of thing. So you think about this, their counsel is going to be way better. There's just no doubt about it. And we've seen their counsel just crush the SEC. And that last phone call, Jeff, you and I have talked about it. I really started feeling bad for the counsel for the SEC because we hadn't heard from her before, this new attorney representing. And unfortunately, they set her up to fail because of how many times, like you said, they keep losing and they keep doing stupid things. And so what do we end up hearing about? Well, we ended up hearing about this whole collapse on the call. Well, wait a minute. It was a security. Wait, all of XRP in the secondary markets is security. The whole thing's gone pretty bad, Jeff. And you're right. I think you're right that keep losing is an understatement, but they keep stepping in it big time. You want to throw that up there? Go ahead, throw that up there. What the heck is that, Jeff?
That's your buddy. Gary.
You know, You have to he's always with the hands, and is she locked in a basement somewhere?
He probably is. But how do you like this? The SEC chair refused to meet crypto leaders, XRP lawyer reveals. So could you imagine, what is the one thing, Chip, that Gary is always telling people? Isn't he
Come
telling people to
in,
come in?
talk
Come
to us.
in.
Come on
Come in
in.
and talk to us.
We'll slap you with a Wells
So
notice, which means you'll be a future. Which means we'll be in. You sued at some point, some future enforcement. Come on
So
in,
John
talk to
so
us.
John Deaton, founder of Crypto Law, lawyer for the XRP holders, claimed that Gary Gensler refused to meet the 69,000 XRP holders. However, he also revealed that SEC chair didn't even meet with Congress. Instead of meeting with key players, Gensler meets around 7 times with a firm that controls 90% of his money. So where do you think his allegiance is? To the people that he was appointed to help, or himself? And it just seems like it's a very common theme that we're seeing lately, that these individuals within the political echelons seem to be milking the system for hundreds of millions of dollars. And he's no different, even though he made a significant amount of money in the private sector. However, since he's been in government, he's just using the people and using position of power. And now he's increasing his wealth. Here's his wealth is being around $100 million. There you go.
Hmm.
And that's it. They don't, and it's amazing because it's not just that the commission doesn't care about improprieties, appearance of impropriety. It seems like there's a lot of government. They just don't seem to care. Now it's in our face. They're just flaunting it. What are your thoughts?
Jeff, I just keep going back to what you just keep saying. They just keep on losing. But listen, I mean, in all fairness, if you want to be careful where you move your power. So if you're someone like Gary Gensler, and I'm thinking like the SEC and the pillars of enforcement, you don't want to, it's not going to help your case or your mission of enforcement if you go out and meet with XRP holders, right? Of course, you want to worry about your personal wealth. You want to see all that, but it looks like, well, it's not a good look. But the bottom line is that why would he meet with XRP holders? Why would he meet with someone like, I mean, but it comes down to the whole thing is like, when you do meet, you get slapped with a Wells notice anyway. So what if you're a private, retail holder of XRP? You get into this whole sort of concept over and over again. And I honestly don't think I don't think anything good comes from it. I wanted to throw this up here, Jeff. Look at this question here that you marked. So Ripple Preacher, do we know yet who the third party was referred to in the latest release in the court case?
Good question.
Well, I would say this, so in that letter, it talks a lot about contracts and, and it talks about, counterparties. And you know what? I mean, so originally I was thinking it can't be Simpson Thatcher because law firms do not have counterparties. And, maybe it's just someone who was talking with Ripple. Maybe it was somebody who doesn't want their name out there for obvious reasons, because suppose the SEC knew that this company was talking to Ripple, and let's suppose it's a company based in the US, they probably don't want the heat coming down on them. It could be something like that. It could be we can only speculate at this point, Jeff, because we don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts? What do you think? Who do you think that third party is, and why do you think they want to seal that so badly?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I know we've got some details on it, so I think that the suspense is going to be the best part.
Yeah, it's the part of the movie that gets really good. You're like, ooh, it's the little twists and turns where things start going another way, and you're like, where's this thing going? But it is pretty interesting because MoneyGram also got in on it and saying that they want certain parts redacted as well. And you have to remember that when you're a company, and especially if you're a public company, your mission is to your board, and more importantly to your investors, right? You have a fiduciary responsibility to guide the company to profitability and increase that profitability quarter over quarter and year over year. So you don't necessarily want your name out there. You certainly don't want your anything related to the structure of the deal, like especially with MoneyGram, right? MoneyGram had to back out, not because they wanted to, Jeff. Like you mentioned before, they were using it for effects and moving money. So if you moved money and you went to one fiat to another fiat, you could do that in 4 seconds and not have that effects issue where it could, when you're talking about losing $10, okay, you're moving 10 or 15 million. That's a whole different story. You could potentially lose a lot.
So we actually have an interesting Twitter feed here from James Filan, and it kind of goes on with the Jeremy Hogan response on that exact question. So I think this is really spot on, because if you look at, James says, unidentified third party filed a motion to seal portions of exhibits to the Daubert motions to protect the party's confidential business information and to protect privacy interests of its current and former representatives' employees. So there it is, Chip. And I think Jeremy Hogan knocked it right out of the park here. I think the unidentified third party is actually Chair Gensler himself in his individual capacity, of course.
Yeah, I think that's Jeremy Hogan being funny. Jeremy Hogan, I don't really think it is, but it could be somebody. It could be somebody at the SEC, but I don't think so, Jeff.
Yeah, that's somebody big. So John Deaton here. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to redact the public calendar of Jay Clayton. The day before the Ripple lawsuit was filed, Clayton met with Gensler. Interesting, right? Why? Do you really think the next day's bombshell of a lawsuit involving the third largest crypto in the world wasn't discussed? Like,
of course
I was
it
kind
was.
of using his little emoji pictures here, kind of
Bombshell.
get you more into the conversation here. So man, it's big. This isn't about the Hinman emails. It's a customer or partner of Ripple's.
Agreed. Yeah, it has to be. It's somebody, or somebody was exploring something, or somebody doesn't want the details out there, especially if you had a deal and you had to like pull that back.
Yep.
Suppose you had to pull that back, Jeff. I mean, it's always you don't want the name out there. I mean, what if it's someone like a Bank of America or something along those lines, and that nobody wants to bring the heat? I think it would be more disconcerting to have that. I mean, the SEC is already going to know about it, but they don't want public details about it leaked, or somebody that has a deal, because Jeff, we only know about maybe 50 to 100 of Ripple's partners. We know they're well over 400, maybe 500 by now. There's hundreds we don't know about. And guess what? We would know about one of them had it, if it leaks, if it was in a public report.
So here's a comment from Jim D. Thanks for the being an OTC member. Ripple should be donating legal defense money to Library and help them use stall tactics like the SEC does to preempt Library being ahead of the Ripple case.
They should, but based on what I've heard about that case, I feel strongly that that Library, based on the way the judge was talking that day, and last time they were in court, sounds to me like SEC wasn't doing too well there either. So I still think, I think Kelly Slate had a question about, how good are the Library, and I can't find her question, but she said, how good are the Library attorneys? And quite honestly, I believe that the Library attorneys are really solid, because everything's better in the private sector. It just is. You don't have that. You don't have that. That sort of black cloud of government. And not that listen, it's not bad to go work for the government, but you have a limited pool of people, and you go out there, and a lot of times they bring people in from the private sector. But again, if you're in private practice, and you can charge fees, and you want to keep that private sort of thing. It's kind of like the difference between centralized and decentralized in a weird way. You certainly have, when you're working for the government, there's certain things you can do and you can't do, where when you're in private sector, there's a lot more openness to it. And I just think that the SEC in the Library case, I don't think they're gonna come out smelling too well in that case either, Jeff. I think there's gonna be a 1-2 punch, and I think Jeremy Kaufman has done a really good job with his team. And I love the fact that he didn't bend the knee. Never. He fought them left and right. Of course, we know other people that have battled the SEC. We know Elon Musk, like 7 or 8 years and won. We know Mark Cuban has battled the SEC and won. And they don't bend the knee, Jeff. They don't bend the knee. They take it on where other people cower and, what do you want from us? No. fight them tooth and nail because it's overreach. They're wrong. And you got to always stand up for what you believe is right.
That's it. Spot on.
Believe, Jeff. You got to believe. And based on that right here, we had Stu Alderoty. He said, rather than providing regulatory clarity through rulemaking, the SEC is bullying crypto markets by filing unproven allegations masquerading as regulation. Wow, Jeff.
That is probably one of the best statements. And if we read back in the history books and we see someone that made one of the most, I would say blatantly obvious statements about the SEC, but it's so amazing. I mean, it's just perfectly worded. I mean, just think about that from that perspective, that the SEC is there to help support the individual investors, to protect individual investors from the overreach of the overzealous, corporation, let's call it, right? And so they're looking for the individual interest. So Stu Alderoty here, to me, put that one back up because it's so spot on. Rather than providing regulatory clarity. Now we know that they can't provide regulatory clarity. That's going to have to come through congressional act to actually provide that clarity. But let's say the SEC could, but instead of doing that, what do? They bully the crypto markets. I mean, I love this. This is
Beautiful
just so
quote.
perfect, right? By filing unproven allegations masquerading as regulation. And this is exactly, to that point. And it's, again, to me, it's not just within the SEC, because we see this rampant within government right now, is that they come out and they're going to they're going to do certain things, make it seem like it's actual regulation or actual law. Some of it is going to be unproven and will all end up in court. And so, to his point, they're unproven allegations. They're pushing it off like they have, they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly, what they're saying, and they don't. And Gary Gensler is at the epicenter. Hopefully, someone can knock this
Yeah.
spam out that's
Yeah,
blasting through here.
please knock the
But
spammer out of one of our mods in there, please.
But man, it's amazing though. This is just so perfect, and I like how he outlines urgent need for sensible crypto legislation from Washington. So he's hitting all the points here, Chip, without saying that. It's amazing. One little paragraph, he hits all of it. It's perfect. Perfect.
It's a great quote, and what he was just the funny part about it is he wrote a whole op-ed, and he just crushed it in one sentence, really, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like talks to it, but he put out this op-ed right here. This was in Real Clear Markets. It's so funny, Jeff. Like, how ironic is this? It's published in Real Clear Markets when we don't have real clear regulation, and so it's up to interpretation. And something else that came out in the SEC, or I'm going to say the SEC, but the EPA ruling from the Supreme Court of the United States was the EPA was doing something very similar. They were creating all this regulation, and we're going to do this, we're going to lock down. And the Supreme Court, and then Virginia versus the EPA, they said, well, no, you don't have the power to do that. Only Congress does. And what kind of came out in that whole thing was you had members of Congress basically complaining about this, saying, oh my God, I can't believe they're saying it. It's like, it's your job to write clear legislation. And what they always do, Jeff, have you noticed this? They write it kind of flowery and broad so it can be open to interpretation rather than lock it down.
Right.
And they do this for a reason. They do it for a reason because they certainly don't want it to be minute, because if they got it not quite right, it could be a little bit open to interpretation. It could bend with the rules, and a lot of that
being vague. They like it being vague.
They like to be vague. And then by being vague, and then they were all coming out complaining about it. I'm like, well, and there's another big ruling, which I don't want to mention here, but that was the same thing. It's like, if there was nothing in the US Constitution that talked to it, how can you have another overreach by an earlier Supreme Court that they had nothing to refer to. It's not in the Constitution. There's no legislation on it. 50 years to write legislation on it. 50 years, no legislation was written for it. So the only other thing you could do was kick it back to the states. And everybody got emotionally involved in this decision when It had nothing to do with emotion. It had to do with just the law and constitutionality. And by kicking that back, I mean, if you guys know what I'm talking about, cool. If you don't, I can't really speak to.
People like to really reference the emotional state versus the logical, legal state, because it's easier to react emotionally to something, but we can't live within an emotional state. We have to live within the boundaries of legal rational thought. That's why they keep things vague, because they love to, keep poking the populace and get people to react emotionally. But here we've got, man, Slovakia is here with us. So what is up, PB, coming in from Slovakia? And then here's a question. So this is interesting. This is coming from Tubatsi. He says, will his decisions affect us here in South Africa? So imagine, what's happening. And we always say that, within the crypto space is a global phenomena, right? It's not just centered
True.
here in the US. And the world will keep, kicking if the U.S. decided to make a specific legislation that made it more difficult for crypto to survive in the U.S. Crypto is going to move, and blockchain companies will move outside the U.S. However, that will have a reverberated effect, throughout the world, to where it will slow down growth and adoption. So I do believe that the U.S. plays a very instrumental role in the development process and the acceptance process of crypto, as well as blockchain tech. And so so it's a major speed bump. It could be a mountain if, with the lack of regulatory clarity and the uncertainty and the overreach by the SEC, it does impact the world, as we've seen. And that's why we have 69,000, maybe over, 70,000 individual XRP holders joining with John Deaton. And they're from all over the world, because the SEC case against Ripple did have a major impact on the evaluation of XRP and the market as a whole. And so right now we're seeing that really Ripple is fighting on the front lines, not just for crypto in the US, but for all over the world. So, so I do think that it does have an impact on a global scale.
It does, but here's the good side of that. And you guys want a little bit of hope, a little bit of uh, a different
Yes, please, Chip.
perspective.
Please,
Here it
Chip.
is, pretty
I
simple.
want hope.
And Warren Davidson spoke to this in a recent hearing when he finished his comment by "There's a new day coming," and that new day is called a red tsunami, and that means that the party right now that's kind of running Congress will no longer be running Congress, and the midterms come up, and it's historically, it doesn't matter. You have the red party, then the blue party wins the midterms. You have the blue party and the red. It's pretty much happened throughout history. This is not I'm not taking sides here, but the one party that seems a little bit more pro crypto, just by a little bit, it seems to be the red party. And the red party has, that's the party of, Cynthia Lummis and, Warren Davidson and, Tom Emmer. I mean, basically all the names you hear about politics over here are pretty much all part of the red team. So you have the red team, it's going to take over. And what the red team's going to do is they're very irked at the fact that Gary Gensler's overstepping and overreaching. And you heard it in these recent hearings. So there's a little bit of panic going on right now in DC. We're coming into August, September, October. That means 3 months. In reality, it means till January, because the new Congress will be coming in January. Jeff, when is it? Like when exactly in January? I know they get sworn in the next Congress. If they win if the red team does win in November, then they come in December. You can guarantee they've already talked about what they're going to do. They've already put it out there.
So January 3rd.
January 3rd. So that's the real time that they have. They got basically 5 months. The blue team has about 5 months to get whatever they need to do or passed and everything. And usually when it gets closer to that, the chances of anything happening are slim to none. Yep. Although
they just threw something crazy up yesterday that people are probably unaware of. We won't get into it on this show but you can look into it. Look at what the Congress did. They voted. It's not going to pass the Senate, but it's another overzealous overreach of authority. So this is something that's reverberating. Congress and government need to be held accountable for their actions, and it's not just on one side. So we saw very clearly, what happened to the speaker of the house and her husband, with in terms of investment and and so insider trading, and so it doesn't affect what goes on in Congress. And there's a whole list of congressional representatives that have been caught up with some sort of insider trading on both sides of the aisle. So it's not just something that is one-sided. I think that's really important to look at, that
Agreed.
these individuals are voted in to represent the people. If they don't represent the people and they're there just for personal gratification, we have a major issue. However, Chip, I 100% agree with you, that we're seeing there's going to be a major red wave. And someone did ask a question, if that, if Republicans come in November and for 2023, will it change? Can it affect? Will it make a difference? And the answer is yes. A major
Absolutely.
difference.
Cynthia
Major
Lummis,
difference.
Tom Emmer. Look at all the authored crypto bills. They're all the red team. I like to use the word red team, Jeff, just because but the red team has authored all the bills and been very pro crypto and has been very, very critical of Chair Gensler and the SEC.
Right. And the thing is that then they also will then chair the committees. And this is where it becomes important. So we have the Financial Services Committee that's been run by Maxine Waters, and Maxine Waters does not have it on her radar to do anything about crypto. And this is exactly why the crypto legislation has seen zero light of day, except for the legislation that talks about, let's meet to discuss. And those are the types of things they have gotten passed. But the actual meat and potatoes of it, to actually get stuff done, as we've seen, like with the Token Taxonomy Act, we've seen legislation from Tom Emmer, Warren Davidson, and others that is the meat and potatoes that does make a big impact on what we need to see happen. So yes, midterms come, switch over of Congress, we're going to see a major shift in what's going to happen here in regulatory clarity for crypto. It'll be a net positive, and so that's really critical. And so anyone other than the Shermanator.
Okay, we got something about that. We have something about that too. I want to give a big shout out to Van Life Biker, who's in Washington, living in a van down by the river.
Down by the riverside.
But look at this right here. Thank you for asking that. These guys are always on top of it. So like during his so this is the Stu Alderoty op-ed. He said during his opening statement, closing remarks last week, in last week's hearing, Rep. Sherman asked why the SEC had not, in addition to suing Ripple, brought cases against the crypto exchanges that had traded XRP. Also, Sherman stated, the Shermanator said that the fact remains that XRP clearly is a security. And then here comes Stu Alderoty laying it down, saying, here's the real fact. The filing of a lawsuit determines nothing.
Nothing. Now, here's the scary part, Chip, right there, is that he's a Harvard-trained lawyer. Now, to me, and I don't know, but if you have a lawyer that doesn't understand, that the filing of a lawsuit doesn't determine anything, so now he's just speaking to bloviate and take up hot air. Again, the Shermanator was elected to represent the people. He does everything for personal gratification. As a Harvard-trained lawyer, he should lose his law degree. Not just, they should retract his law degree. Harvard should say, you know what? You don't even understand the basic elements of the law. You no longer deserve this law degree that we had given you, and retract it. Or maybe he just needs to be disbarred. Maybe that's what's going to happen. What are your thoughts? Let's
Yeah, I don't know about disbarring the guy, but clearly, I think you hit it. Is like when any government official no longer represents the people. Yeah, they've been there forever. He's been an incumbent for a long time. But look at who supports him. The banks.
The banks.
The banks. The big banks support him. Of course, they're not always pro crypto, and I'm not saying all banks. A lot of banks are embracing it and understand that in order to grow, they have to, but a lot of banks are are a little more legacy, and they're not. But look at the people. When we talk about the people supporting him, and so yeah, it's a little bit foggy here. But Stu says he knows that no country in the world has determined XRP to be a security. He knows the issue needs to be decided in court. In short, he knows better, and it doesn't matter if they know better. But we see a lot of this. What I think is a troubling effect, and it's not just happening in the U.S., but it's happening worldwide, is that people will get up and just say almost anything. They'll just say like, the sky is orange today. And like, well, the sky is not orange. And everything is just open. It's like it's all open to opinion. It's all come down to emotion and feelings, and also protecting the party line, and being a naysayer, and also getting your name out there. The guy's completely irrelevant. He's not authored any bills. He's not passed any legislation. He's somebody that's occupying space and breathing other people's air.
He is basically a nobody. Yeah.
And it's like it brings me back. When you're sitting there just taking stuff and breathing someone's air, it takes me back to when my older daughter was in school, and I had to meet up with the teacher one time, and there was a bag of just a plastic bag that was just filled, and I was like, well, what's that? And he says, well, I said, is that the bag of air that my daughter talked about? He goes, yeah, that's the bag of air my daughter. And what this was he said, if something happens where the entire world is like dying off and has no air to breathe, he will grab the bag of air and breathe that and watch all of the children die a painful death. And this is like a teacher with the, and it was like, and I'm like, here's a guy occupying space, and he got so much attention, especially in the XRP community, when he's irrelevant. His opinion means nothing. He has no pull.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I'll say he has absolutely no pull. He has nothing to say. It's like, it's always like, the guy poking the bear, and he's like, oh, I think XRP is going to make a flowery statement. XRP is a security. He knows he's going to tweak hundreds, if not thousands of people. He knows he's the dissenting voice. He knows he's not part of the majority, but bring it on. And he had his, 15 minutes of fame. He was on all the news and everything. And I mostly just like laughed and said, who cares? No one cares about the Shermanator. It's a loser. He's pretty much, Jeff. Got a little cough there, Jeff.
So, Derek, most backwards case I've ever seen. SEC being more prosecuted when they are the plaintiff, which is a good point there. And paper chaser Harvard lowering the standards. Ripple preacher. If you say something enough times, people start to believe it. And we see that a lot going on right now, where they're just making stuff up. You see it all the time now on the mainstream. They just say whatever they want to say. They just figure, they're just like they're redefining recession. There's no recession, Chip. Economy's doing amazing. We don't have inflation. Prices aren't going up. No problems because they're redefining it. NZT Mark, SEC lawsuit is a clown show to delay the time. Preacher manipulation. NZT, SEC has no jurisdiction. Congress can easily overwrite the SEC, which is great. And then here we've got Leo, or he doesn't understand. This is the Shermanator, or he's making money halting crypto. And it's definitely the latter. He's definitely trying to make money by halting and delaying and all of his other nonsense. The Shermanator.
No, that's exactly right.
Enrique from Brazil too. Man, we got a lot of Brazil on today.
Everyone, a lot of everybody in from Brazil. Hang on one second, Jeff.
Chip is gone. Chip has left. We've now kicked Chip out of the room. So Jim D, XRPL is the bridge currency in a network that will likely look mostly like one big wheel with many long spokes, e.g. mostly long bridges and shorter country roads. I like that. But that's a great point, because the one thing that we're seeing, and we see this in
Jeff, 1 second, let me interrupt you 1 second. Jeff, I have a hard stop, so I have to run. Guys, I will see you on the next one. Jeff will take you out. You had a hard stop, man. Sorry, let's track of time. We started a little bit late. I had a hard stop at 9.
Hard stop out of here.
And it's 9:04, guys. See you guys tomorrow night. Jeff and I will be here tomorrow night. We'll see you tomorrow night.
And we'll wrap it, Chip.
Yeah.
See ya.
Take him home, Jeff. Take him home.
We'll take it out of here, Chip. All right. Thank
Wrong
you,
button.
Chip, for all
Wrong button.
See how we could have wrapped this up. But anyhow, so Jim D, and I think, Jim, you have a really good point. And so this is really, solid kind of to leave us with, is that we have a lot of silos. You have all these siloed gardens, and this is in the legacy system, but we see a lot of that even developing within the crypto space, that you have the silos and you need the interoperability. The XRPL is what brings the interoperability. And so if we were to put this to the foundation of the direction that we're moving in, it's all about the interoperability. So appreciate that. Appreciate you guys. This is an awesome show today. Covered a ton of topics, but we will be back. Look at this. I'm fading out. It's kind of like Back to the Future. If you don't they don't do it, man, it's about, what was that? Fading out. But anyhow, we'll be back tomorrow night, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with more great content. What is up? Hydroponics. Very easy hydroponics, Alan. So, but great to see everybody. As always, we have the best and the brightest here in the YouTube space, crypto YouTube space, and people from all over the world. We have a lot of representation here from Brazil. I just saw Poland come in here. We had Croatia. We've got people from everywhere, all over the US, all over the world, all over Europe. Man, it's great to see everybody representing down in Latin America, Australia, all over. So anyhow, until next time, we will see you guys all on the next one. Chip and Jeff and Chip, we are out of here. We'll see you.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.